Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Tim Macindoe.
Ena mana, ena reo, ena karangatanga maha, ahakoa norfair, ahakoa kowai, me te whare paramata nei, a puta aku ki nā topito o Aotearoa, a puta aku ki te ao whānui tono, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Honoured members of this House and prestigious people from all corners of New Zealand and all nations, I extend my greetings to you all. Greetings, greetings, greetings.
E tuana aho he mangai mo kirikiri roa ki te hāauru ki roto o Waikato, nō reira he mihi hoki ki a kingi Tuheitia te poherenga waka Paimarie.
I stand here as a voice for Hamilton West and Waikato. Therefore, I greet King Tuheitia, the leader of all waka, the leader of all people and the royal family.
He mihi hoki ki te whare ariki o te hiuhio o Ngāti Tuwharetoa, ka mihi hoki ki a tātou tupuna mātua I haina nei I te tiriti o Waitangi, I tera atu roto, koto rato, wa wata kia noho tahi rato, he iwi kotahi, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Greetings also to the noble house of Te Heuheu of Ngāti Tuwharetoa. I acknowledge our ancestors who signed the Treaty of Waitangi in the last millennium. Their vision was that we unite as one, and so greetings to you all.
Mr Speaker, I join other members in congratulating you and your three colleagues on your elections. Your collective dignity, patience and humour will serve you and us well in the years ahead, although I dare say all those qualities will be tested from time to time. I also extend my respects to His Excellency the Governor-General. I am proud of our constitutional heritage and Westminster traditions and a firm believer in the institution of the Commonwealth. It is a pleasure to see the House presided over this afternoon by my friend, the member for Waikato, not only because we are from the same region, but because you, sir, walked an equally long and uphill path on your journey to this place. Members, I lost a selection contest in the then Karapiro electorate to Mr Tish 9 years ago and subsequently served on his first campaign committee. Sir, I thank you for returning the favour this year as my caucus member on my campaign committee and for your encouragement over many years. I also wanted to greet my colleague Dr Hutchison. I lost a selection contest to that member in the Port Waikato electorate 10 years ago. At the end of it, he promised me hospitality in Bellamy's at a mutually convenient time. I hope the good doctor would share my view that tonight would be an ideal time for him to recall his generous offer. But I'm advised that he took one look at my rather large contingent of family and friends in the gallery today and fled the country. To my other fellow Waikato MPs on both sides of the House, greetings, especially to my friend from across our beautiful river. Members, I lost a selection contest to David Bennett in Hamilton East 4 years ago. At the time, I was mystified, but I came to understand sometime later when our local paper named him the Waikato's sexiest politician. When not striding the catwalk, David Bennett is very active at home, and I welcome the opportunity to work closely with him for the good of our city. Mr Speaker, like you, I have aspired from a tender age to serve in this House. So I am humbled and a bit emotional to be here in my cramped corner at the back of the House, at last delivering my maiden speech, having been a candidate in every general election New Zealand has held under the MMP system. In fact, this is the second time I have risen to take a call. I was alarmed to receive a Hansard transcript to check last Saturday afternoon, and I thank members for this courtesy, as it would have been hugely deflating after 5 attempts to enter this House if my doomed attempt to move a closure motion under urgency had been recorded for posterity as my maiden speech. At least I could have imagined that members would remember every word of it, although, given the difficulties some of my colleagues experienced with the motion's construction, perhaps even that small consolation would have been denied me. My first real opportunity, or so I thought, came in Tauranga in 2002. To the wonderful team who supported me there, led by Sandy Garland, Barbara Steele and Margaret Townsend, my warm regards and gratitude. I shall mention one other young lady from that campaign in a moment. In retrospect, it wasn't a great year to be Nationals candidate against a resurgent Winston Peters. Timing is everything in politics. I watched with admiration Bob Clarkson achieve my goal 3 years later, and I am delighted that Simon Bridges has now secured such a strong mandate in that city. No candidate could have wished for a more professional or loyal committee than I enjoyed this year in Hamilton West under the inspiring leadership of Ken Williamson. 3 of them are here today, Lance and Dulcie Coombs and Peter Osborne. So is my youngest supporter, Andrew Osborne, and his brother Craig. Others are watching at home with my electorate chair, Barbara Wheaton, who very capably leads our dedicated electorate executive. To the committee and executive teams and to all who supported our campaign in a myriad of ways this year, I extend heartfelt thanks and my pleasure that your commitment resulted in success. Similarly to the party's board and leadership, to our regional team led by Joe Stewart, the ever-helpful Alison Renwick, and my campaign secretary, Jenny Kane, my sincere thanks. Ours was a true team effort, but I'm sure that none of my team will mind if I single out Dulcie Coombs for a special mention. Her efforts, generosity, and unfailing enthusiasm are humbling. Every candidate needs a Dulcie. Thank you, FG. Politics is in my blood. My paternal grandfather was an Auckland City Councillor, Auckland Harbour Board member, and a friend of former Prime Minister Gordon Coates. His son and daughter-in-law, my parents, had been members of the National Party for more than half a century when my father died, and my mother remains an enthusiastic member and supporter. As a child, I remember endless debates in our home between my parents and their farming friends from Ngahinapuri, southwest of Hamilton, over whether Sir Keith Holyoake or Sir Les Munro would make a better leader of the National Party. It struck me then as a strange way to socialise, but something obviously rubbed off on their youngest child, for by the time I was 13 and glued to the televised coverage of the state funeral of Prime Minister Norman Kirk, I was hooked. I haven't spent all of the intervening time campaigning, but I think my wife and children might dispute that. To my wife Anne, whom I don't thank often enough, but who is with me still after 5 consecutive general elections in which I have actively campaigned, I extend heartfelt thanks and my love. She is here today with our younger daughter, Jessica. Anne and I celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary last month, and I am so proud of the family we have raised. I am pleased that my elder sister Jan, brother Guy, and godson Oliver are with Anne, Jessica, and my mother today in the gallery. All my family supported and encouraged my ambition over many years. This is their day as much as mine. Mr. Speaker, I feel keenly the absence of 3 people whom I always envisaged being here for this moment, each of whom greatly encouraged my political thinking and involvement. One is the remarkable Mrs. Ursula McGrath, who is watching her boys, Simon Bridges and Tim Macindoe, with her family in Tauranga this afternoon. At nearly 87, her energy, determination and Christian faith are an example to my generation. Her unwavering support for my candidacy and hard work in Tauranga 6 years ago were hugely encouraging during a campaign that was hardly a morale-boosting experience in other respects. We share a desire to see our nation's children taught the values that underpin patriotism, moral courage and good citizenship. All that Mrs. McGrath would ever ask for from me would be that I keep working for those ideals, and I give her that commitment today. The second was my brother-in-law, Gerald Smith, the son of those farming friends from Ngahinapuri whom I mentioned earlier. It was he who first brought me to this house 31 years ago as a guest of his local MP, Barry Brill, when I was still a schoolboy. Sadly, he lost his battle with cancer at Christmas last year. For nearly 40 years, Gerald farmed on top of the Paikakariki Hill, demonstrating a work ethic, commitment to his family, and strength of character that made a lasting impression on me. And the third was my father, Harley Macindoe, a businessman, a sportsman, but most of all, a family man. Sadly, he too is no longer with us, having died less than a fortnight before the 2005 general election. He and my mother Jill gave their children the security and example of a stable home with much love, a lot of hospitality, and plenty of encouragement and opportunities. Dad was no saint, but his virtues were many. I feel his presence on my shoulder today, knowing how proud he was of all his children and what this moment would have meant to him and does mean to my mother. I also acknowledge with love and gratitude close family members who are unable to be here. My elder daughter Sarah, two of my sisters Sally and Belinda and their families, and my parents-in-law Michael and Joan Murray. My parents made me who I am today, and I am convinced that parenting is our greatest responsibility in life. Strong families are our best hope for healthy communities. We should always consider the consequences for our families of decisions made in this house. Mr. Speaker, I am a former teacher, a former public servant, a former Otago University student politician, a former student of Dr. Michael Cullen and of the Deputy Mayor of Wellington, a former prison tutor, Christchurch Women's Prison, no less, a Kiwi Bank customer, a follower and advocate for the performing arts, and a very proud member of the National Party and at last of this honourable House. My political role models include Gentleman Jack Marshall, Brian Tallboys and George Gare, national MPs who served our country with distinction, but I also admired Bill Rowling for his intelligence and dignity, David Longy for his wit and humanity, and many who still serve in this House but will have to wait a little longer for their tributes. 8 MPs have served as MPs for Hamilton West since its inception in 1969. They include the aforementioned Sir Les, Dorothy Jelicic, the colourful Mike Minogue, who passed away just over a fortnight ago, the very much alive Trevor Mallard, my friends Grant Thomas and Bob Simcock, who both, since leaving this House, have served our city with distinction on our City Council, where Bob continues to provide outstanding leadership as our Mayor, and most recently, Martin Gallagher. 3 years ago, I lost a close contest to Martin. While we debated issues vigorously that year and this, we always did so in an atmosphere of mutual respect, without acrimony or personal attacks, despite the additional pressure that those who campaign in marginal electorates always face. Martin generously acknowledged my contribution in the address and reply debate that followed his re-election in 2005. Today, I place on record not only my respect and appreciation for the contribution that Martin Gallagher made during 12 years of service as the Member of Parliament for Hamilton West, but the gratitude of my new constituents from across party lines. Martin is a Hamiltonian through and through. He was highly regarded in our city as a diligent and likeable constituency MP. His concession on election night was gracious and generous. I thank him sincerely and know that he will continue to contribute positively to Hamilton, albeit in a different capacity in years to come. As has been noted by many speakers in this debate, the new government faces major economic challenges and could scarcely have taken office in more challenging circumstances. I am wholly committed to my party's determination to implement an ambitious program to secure strong economic growth for our country. Time and again during our recent election campaign, the good folk of Hamilton West voiced their concern to me that their children and grandchildren love their country, but no longer feel it offers them a fair deal, or meets their expectations in the delivery of social services or the maintenance of safe, caring communities. Both sides of my family were among the early generations of European settlers in this country, and I am incredibly proud and grateful to be a New Zealander. But like many members of this House, I have also spent many years living abroad, and I am fortunate to have had that experience. It taught me to appreciate the freedom, beauty, cultural diversity and lifestyle that we sometimes take for granted, but which are such treasured features of our shared heritage. Professionally, it taught me a great deal that proved valuable in my former career. Our children were born in the UK and may well appreciate in years to come the benefits of holding both New Zealand and European passports. While we were away for more than 5 years, we never doubted that we would return to New Zealand, for this is where we wanted our children to grow up and to think of as home. That was nearly 20 years ago. Today, I fear that young parents in a similar position still feel the tug of home, but resist it because they see a low-wage, high-tax economy that does not adequately reward enterprise and hard work or provide a social climate conducive to safe, healthy lifestyles. For many, New Zealand has become merely a holiday destination for grandchildren to meet their grandparents and to glimpse the country of their parents' birth. I pray that during the next decade we will change that worrying perception. I want our children and theirs to see a worthwhile future here, to be proud of this country, their country, and to contribute fully to making it God's own country once more. Securing sustained economic growth, a fair and balanced tax system and higher living standards across all sectors of society will be vital to achieve that vision. I applaud the decision to channel more of the New Zealand Superannuation Fund into New Zealand projects, which will preserve and create jobs and accelerate our crucial infrastructural development. Most vital of all projects, of course, is the completion of the Waikato Expressway. But I'm convinced that the greatest challenges that our country faces, and which our generation of parliamentarians must tackle with all the conviction and energy we can muster, are environmental and social. Whatever one's view of the subject of climate change or the best means to reduce carbon emissions, it is clearly desirable for us all to do our bit to save our planet. We can and must aim to protect and enhance our environment. I hope that Parliament will Sorry, Mr. Speaker. When the Prime Minister, as the new leader of our party, delivered his landmark underclass speech in January of last year, I was delighted, as he highlighted some of the major concerns that have motivated me to keep seeking a political career for as long as I have. We have major problems and must tackle them with all the energy we can muster, both at source and to overcome them, and in the courts to protect our citizens. The P culture in particular must be confronted. As I was reminded last night at Rhodes Street School's prize giving in my electorate, our country is blessed with many good schools, with talented, committed staff, all dealing directly with major challenges and the greatest hopes of the 21st century. Let us do everything we can to encourage and promote teaching as a career for our young people. Mr. Speaker, we have a younger than average population and more PhDs per head of population than anywhere else in the country in our city. Our university is a national leader in several disciplines. The Waikato Institute of Technology, now known as WinTech, is equally dynamic and world-class, and our local Wānanga campus is catering for many who would never previously have aspired to tertiary education.
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I think we've got a slight problem here. The members obviously got a time problem. I think members on this side would be happy if leave was sought for him to complete his speech.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? Thank you. Continue, Tim Macindoe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I enter this House with hopes and a vision for a generation. Perhaps we need to change our perception of what constitutes success. It could mean breaking a cycle of violence or dependency, or it could mean working as a volunteer in one of the myriad of vital not-for-profit or community agencies. It could mean overcoming an addiction or accepting a job that others shun. I believe that all honest work is inherently valuable. I admire those at the margins of our society who often work long and unsociable hours for modest pay in vital but unseen roles. They deserve the real honours. To our support partners in the new government, I look forward to a constructive relationship as we set about implementing our shared vision for a better New Zealand. Especially to our colleagues in the Maori Party, kia ora tātou, thank you for the courage and leadership you have demonstrated. I share your aspirations for improved opportunities and mana-enhancing opportunities for your people, believing firmly that what is good for Maori is good for our country as a whole. I am absolutely committed to building a lasting relationship between our parties, founded in mutual respect, trust and an overriding belief in the mana and potential of every human being, kia kaha. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, I commit myself to serve the people of Hamilton West with vigour and integrity. May God bless all members of this House and grant us his wisdom and compassion in our service to our nation.